Good morning friends, welcome back to Parnika tutorials. In the last video, I have discussed how can we define a function in another function, and also we know that a function can return a value. But in this video, I want to discuss how a function can return another function as a value. This is very important. We know how to return a value. Suppose let's take that we have written a function called def. Okay, I have written a function called def and I want to perform the division, okay, on a comma b, and I am writing result is equal to a integer division b, and then I am writing return, and I write a statement called res, return res. Now let's take that I am calling the division function with a value 15 and b value 3. Then what will happen? This is the function called div with values 15 comma 3. Then control will go here and a will have a value called 15 and b will have the value 3. And then res is equal to 15 integer 3 is, you will get a value called 5 that will be stored in a variable called res, and you are returning res, so you are returning the value 5. This we know till now. How can we return a value from a function? But here what I want to do, a function return another function as a value. Instead of returning a value, I want to return another function here. So let me discuss this one with an example. Now, in the last video, I have discussed how to define a function in another function. Now, I will use that same program to explain this, how can a function can return another function as a value. So what I will do, I will define a function called operate, okay, and then what I have to do, I want to write some statements. So print Parnika tutorials, and then I want to define another function called execute, okay, and inside this function I am writing some print statement called like, share and subscribe, okay, and I am writing print good morning, something, good morning, have a nice day, something. Now in the last video, when I have discussed how to define another function in a function, then what I have done, I have called the inner function inside this outer function, then I have called the outer function. So what happened, first once you call the outer function, the control will go to the outer function and it will start executing the statements inside the outer function. So print Parnika tutorials, you will get the Parnika tutorials as an output. Then you have the function definition called execute. Once it is done, you are calling a function called execute. So execute, the control will go to the execute statement, and what are the statements which are there in the execute function will be printed, like, share and subscribe and good morning. So you will get output as Parnika tutorials, like, share and subscribe and good morning. This one we have discussed in the last video. Now what I want to do here is that a function return a value, instead of value I want to return a function. So instead of this statement, I want to return this execute function by the operate function, because this return statement belongs to the operate. So operate function is returning a function called execute. This is very important. Is it clear? See, execute is not a variable here. In the previous case, whenever we write return result, the result is a variable, but here execute is not a variable. Execute is a function. Are you able to understand? So operate function is returning execute function. So this is what a function returns another function as a value. Now let me change this code also little bit. So what I will do is that I will assign some a is equal to operate, okay, then I want to execute this a. This is very important. Remember one thing, when you say that returning a function, obviously you will write the braces, but you should just give the name of the function which you want to return. So this one is the name of the function. Okay, now remember one thing. You are writing operate is equal to, so whenever a function returns some value, then you will assign to something. Am I right or wrong? Suppose let's take that a function returns return res. Inside one function is there, then when you call that function, suppose let's take that this function is div, then you will store something result is equal to div, then you will write 15 comma 5. Am I right? Because whatever this function is returning, you are storing in some variable. So similarly, this operate function is returning execute, which is a function. So I am assigning here. Now this a is having the execute function. So you need to call this function. Am I right or wrong? So that's why I'm calling here. Are you able to understand? In this case, what will happen is that the same way the previous one has worked, similarly, it will also give the output Parnika tutorials, like, share and subscribe and good morning. The output will be same and the order of execution also will be same. Only one point you need to remember is whenever you are returning a function, you just need to return its name. And then whenever you are returning something, you need to assign to someone. And now this variable is having the function called execute. So whenever you want to call it, suppose if I want to display this one, I will write print a. Am I right? Normally here if I want to display the result, I will write print result. But here this a is not having the value, it is having the function. So I need to call that function. So whenever you want to call the function, you have to write the name of the function and this one. Okay, so I hope you have understood how can we return, a function can return another function as a value. For better understanding, I will execute this program in Jupyter Notebook. Let me define an outer function called operate. Inside the outer function, I am writing a statement called print. Welcome to Parnika tutorials. And then I am defining an inner function called execute. Okay, and I am writing statement called like, share and subscribe. Okay, then I am printing statement called learn Python course. Okay, then what I am doing is that I am returning an execute. Okay, so then what I will do is that I will take a variable a and then I will call the function called operate. Now I will execute or I will call the a. So indirectly you are calling the execute function. Now if I run the code, I will get the output as welcome to Parnika tutorials, like, share and subscribe, learn Python course. Look at here. This is the output you are getting. So how it is working is that you are calling the operate function. So the control will go to the function definition called operate and it will give the output as welcome to Parnika tutorials. Then you are defining the function called execute. It is okay. Then you are returning execute. Here you are returning a function which is not a variable. Execute is not a variable. So you are calling a is equal to operate. So that is returning the execute. So a will consist of execute. So it is a function. So that's why you are calling the function. I hope it is clear for you. If you still have any doubts related to this concept, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I will try to clear your doubts as early as possible. Thank you for watching the complete video. Have a nice day.